Now let's create our first entity, and I decided to set up an entity with the name article. So we wanted to have some stock keeping here or whatever. Create new. So I assign the article ID article to this entity. I decide it is visible to other projects. So projects can be nested in one another. So I want to expose this also to others. Article is the name, the text for it. And now each entity consists out of properties. Create new. So I start with a key property, which is an ID. The data type is the string or integer, whatever it is. So this is explaining how the field is set up. And it consists out of a Java definition plus additional information. For example, strings have a length. There are data types which already come from a base project, but you can set up own data types as well. We don't do this now. We just select one or some of our base project. So I select the article to have a data type string 50. Good. Then I also decide I just make this portion of the screen a bit bigger, that this is a key object. I don't have to click mandatory because key objects are mandatory themselves. So this is our first field. Next field is I want the article to have a name. The name is this one. And here I select the data type, string 100. And maybe I also want to have a description. And the description receives a data type, for example, string 500. So now I also decide on a static way that this should always be a mandatory input. Name, description is not mandatory. Good. I save this. During saving, also validation is done. So you can validate interim before saving. At the end, you generate things. You get a protocol of this generation and a result. Everything is fine. You could look up into details here, but this is more for techies and if there are errors. So, and I now deploy it. What does deployment mean? Deployment means it is deployed to this green box in the background here. So this is the application server. This is the Tomcat being the application test environment. So here now this is deployed. Good. Now how can we see that it's working? Now we set up a screen for this entity. I go on the left side to the RapidApp view here. This article is now part of this view. Before this was empty. Now there we see the article. We also can see the feeds here. You can imagine this is the editor for all the metadata that you see here. So whenever you update here, things are reflected here. Good. So what can we now do? On the article, we now can say we open a list dialog. Yeah. This list dialog is now shown in the editor. So we now see the editing moved from the metadata view into the UI editor for the article list. We can press refresh preview either here or on the bottom here. And we now see how the screen looks like at the moment. And this is a list showing items, yeah, but currently without any columns. So now I can select on the left side these columns I want to see. So I say now, okay, I want to see the ID column. So you have to grab it at the icon here and move it over here. And now the ID column is visible. You also can grab multiple columns here and drag them in one chunk. And here they are. So now we see the list of articles. Of course, there's no article in the database yet, but we now save this. If there's a list of articles, there's also a detail screen for the article. So this one we open here, open detail editor. Well, you may also see there's a mobile list. So we have two lists, one for more desktop usage, one for mobile usage. Let's skip this at the moment. Go on to the detail editor. So the detail editor, same procedure. You refresh the preview. That's how it looks like. It comes with some header already. And now I immediately take all three of them. Now you see there are icons again to switch to drag and drop. You can take this one and drop it here. What's the difference? Oops. What's the difference here between these icons? These icons on the right always mean that you grab not only the corresponding field, but you grab also a row. You see a container consists of a row, 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 and now each field at each control representing a property is arranged in one row. You could also, for example, say, okay, I want the name to be next to the field of the ID. So this is the ID field. You drop only this one. So without a row, you just take the component and drop it here. And now the name is on the right side. Good. I don't want to do this. I just want to explain the different icons. So that's how the default screen, the article screen now looks like. You also see that some things which come from the metadata definition, this is a key, this is mandatory, are already reflected. Good. So we now have a detail screen. Let's go back to our list screen. In the list screen, we already can refresh it now. Sorry, I didn't hit it. So here it is. And I just enlarged the area here. I can now say anlegen for creating. This all is then language dependent. So I'm in a German system. So English users would see the English terms. Okay, I now can create article 4711 and say this is O de Cologne and whatever description, and I can save it. And you see it's already in the database now. So the database in the background in the green server is a small HSQL database running inside of the green server. It could also be any JDBC accessible database. Our second favorite option is Postgres. Anyway, so we now have the detail screen. We now have the list screen. We can close this. We can create a new one. For example, we say 4712. This is some other article. I just do it this way, and you think persistency is working. If we do refresh it, come in the next time, all the data is there, and you see the editing is done. So this was the creation of the first entity together with the list screen, together with the detail screen, and all the things which you see now come automatically from the framework.